Well, don't you hate it when you're on your computer, you're doing something, and then you think you've gotten it all right, and you click that big OK button, seemingly like it's all been accomplished, and then you get one of those dreaded little pop-ups, and it asks, "Are you sure?" Hate that. Yes, I'm sure. Don't waste my time, pop-up. Are you sure? Question mark? Implied. We don't want you to commit to something and then have made a mistake, because after you click this, it's kind of no going back. So, one more time. Are you sure? It seems to me that one dimension of this integral allegory that Jesus gives today with the weeds and the wheat, one dimension of that is the landowner telling his workers, no. Let's not rip up the weeds right now. Wait. Let's wait until harvest. Now, the scholars tell us that in fact, I'm no farmer, I don't know if you could tell, but in fact, at least the type of wheat and the type of weeds that we were talking about at the time of Jesus would be, to the untrained eye, fairly indistinguishable until you get to harvest time. So essentially, one of the things that the owner is saying to the workers is, better be careful, because you don't want to rip out some of the good wheat with the weeds. Essentially, giving that same caution when they are ready to, they're chomping at the bit. Let's go, let's take care of this. Let's rip these out right away. The landowner says, wait, are you sure? Maybe let's rethink that. I don't know about you, but it seems to me we could use a lot more of those little pop-up dialogue boxes in our world today. Are you sure you want to say that? Are you sure you want to respond, comment on that social media post right now, exactly like that? Are you sure? Boy, it's all too easy to hit post. And why is that? Why should we take a breath? Why should we be patient? Well, Jesus is making the point that in our haste, we just might do more damage than good. We might be passionate and thinking that we're doing the right thing, like the workers, but in fact, with the wisdom of the landowner, we can realize, no, that would do harm. I will say that there are times that I am impatient and I am presuming that people are acting like a weed and not like a stalk of wheat. Sometimes this happens when I'm behind the wheel of the car. That's one example, that I presume that the people in front of me are just dumb or not paying attention or whatever. And I, just like those workers, I want to rip the weeds out of there. Come on now. But I have a friend who anytime throughout the course of the day, and he lives here in New York City, so, outside of pandemic, we're interacting with a lot of people, so there's a lot of occasions for something like this. He says, if he gets to a point where somebody does something that seems unkind or seems unfriendly to him or inconsiderate or whatever, any of those situations where any of us would be quick to judge, he stops and thinks, well, maybe that person is having the worst day they've ever had. And this doesn't just keep him from actually saying something, he actually does this internally to keep himself from rushing to judgment, from rushing to considering that person a weed that is just to be thrown out and burned in the fire. I admire him. I wish I could do that. I wish I could have that thought, because that's essentially what the landowner is saying here. It's hard for you to tell the difference In wisdom, with my many years of experience of raising wheat, once we get to the harvest time, we'll be able to tell. But in the heat of the moment, don't think that you know the difference between someone making a mistake, having a bad day, and someone who is evil. I had a different friend who just a couple of days ago posted on social media a picture of John Lewis, the congressman who just died a couple of days ago. And she's got, like a Catholic blog and a lot of social media followers. And she said to me, you wouldn't believe the number of people that had such uncharitable, unkind things to say to me because, in their estimation, he wasn't pro-life enough, or his voting record on abortion should not allow her to give tribute to the positive things that he gave us and the ways in which he was pro-life in many other ways. So I'm not standing here telling you whether you should think positively or negatively about John Lewis. Yeah, sorry. But in that moment of all of that vitriol that happens so easily on the internet, wouldn't it be better if a pop-up came up and said, are you sure? Are you sure you want to judge not only that person's heart who just died, but also this person who's posting about him? Are you sure? What can help us slow down like that? I need help. St. Paul suggests today that which can help us, that which kind of pops up the dialogue in front of us with that big question mark and the button, is the Holy Spirit. So in Romans chapter 8 that we heard from today, St. Paul says, we don't know how to pray as we ought. So the Holy Spirit intercedes with inexpressible groanings. I would do St. Paul one better and say, not only do we not know how to pray as we ought, we don't know how to talk as we ought, we don't know how to interact on social media as we ought, etc., etc. We don't know how to be kind as we ought. So the Holy Spirit intercedes if we are open to that. The way I kind of look at this, that verse from Romans 8 about the Holy Spirit, like kind of stepping in, it's more like a pinch hitter or a designated runner, or I don't know. We don't have sports anymore, so it's hard to remember. Or that moment in Sound of Music, So it's towards the end of the movie, and they're in the talent show, and Christopher Plummer is playing the guitar, and he's singing Edelweiss, right? Beautiful song that reminds him of his homeland. And his voice cracks because he gets so emotional thinking about all that's happening in the world and to his country, and it seems like he can't go on. But then what happens? Maria von Trapp, she comes out, and she starts singing. And she doesn't take over, he doesn't go sit down. She enables him to continue. She invites the entire congregation, I'll use that word, the entire congregation to sing along. That's how I envision the Holy Spirit interceding with and for us. It's not getting us off the hook. Well, I don't know what to pray today, so, it says in Romans 8, the Holy Spirit takes over, so I'm just going to go to the store or watch Netflix, or it's not that. It's that we are aided by the Holy Spirit. I can't blame all of my uncharitable actions that the Holy Spirit didn't do its job very well. We have to cooperate with this grace that we're given. So the Holy Spirit can be that little pop-up that says, are you sure? But we're the ones that actually have to click cancel. No, let me think about that. Maybe I could have considered that differently. Maybe even if I'm right, and even if that person deserves a talking to or isn't doing something right, maybe this isn't the time or the place or the best way to do that. That's what that parable of the weeds is about. It doesn't deny that there's good and there's evil, right? We're not whitewashing. We're not saying, hey, it's all good. But what the parable talks about there's a time and a place. And most often, the time and the place is not in the instantaneous technological world that we live in. And I'm there too. I'm on the social media. I'm hitting thumbs up and heart and all that kind of stuff. I try to hit the thumbs up and the heart and not go, how dare you not be a Catholic by saying that. But I do better at that than I do behind the wheel. So we need the Holy Spirit to be that pop-up and to ask us, are you sure? Are you sure that you're convicting that person properly? Are you sure that you really know their heart? And most importantly, the reason why Jesus tells this parable, because he's making a point not about us, but about God. How would we like it if God didn't have a patient approach and wait until the end of our lives? How would you and I like it if God ripped us up as weeds right away at the first sign of us sinning? Well, not too many people will be sitting in this church right now, right? So what Jesus is saying is, the wisdom of the landowner, the Father, is to be patient and to give the benefit of the doubt, because it's hard to tell the wheat from the weeds. And he's asking us to emulate that wisdom of the Father, realizing that it's not easy, so giving us the gift of the Holy Spirit, a little pop-up. So whatever it is that is a stumbling block for you this week, maybe you can visualize that little pop-up window when in your heart or with your words or with your online comments, you begin to presume that somebody or something is evil. Maybe hear the Holy Spirit saying, are you sure? And probably we all want to click that little cancel button and go, okay, maybe I need to give this person as much of the benefit of the doubt as God has given me. So as we go throughout our lives this week, pandemic continuing, let's hear that question whenever it might be appropriate for it to pop up. Are you sure?